bad. And so if the government can socialize student lending and take the profit out, it's going to be better, you know.
Murray Rothbard pointed out that once the egalitarianism in education began in the 30s, that everybody should go to college, everybody should go to school. It meant an inevitable dumbing down. But since you were in school, I was in school before you were, and I had a Schiff-like education myself, everything has been horrendously dumbed down. So what these kids are paying for, these vast amounts of debt and so forth, is just, it's far worse than when we were in school.
Oh, yeah. Look, the whole idea that everyone should go to college. Obama says that everybody should go to college. Okay, so if everybody has a college degree, what is a college degree worth in the marketplace? Nothing. In fact, I would argue that a high school diploma in 1950 was far more valuable than a college diploma today. So what's the big deal? So now that we have to keep children in school for an extra 4, 5, 6 years to get the equivalent of what they used to have when they were 17 coming out of high school? I mean, in fact, in order to differentiate yourself today, you now have to get a master's or a PhD because everybody and his brother has a college degree. I mean, you know, next time you're in a restaurant, ask the waitress what her major was. In fact, when you're you know, in a supermarket, ask the cashier, you know, what her major was. You'll be surprised.
No, of course it's true. And in fact, I've noticed that I met a young man in a Sprint store recently who has a master's, in international business, and he's selling cell phones. So it seems a nice enough kid, but that typifies the whole situation to be, thank goodness he's got a job. Thank goodness he's not living in his parents' basement and has got no job, which of course a lot of kids have no job.
Well, and the worst thing about a lot of the kids now with college degrees is they have huge mortgages. They have these huge student loans they have to repay. So you have to earn a lot more with a college degree just to cover the cost of the interest on your loan. And I would say that most people aren't going to make more. And in fact, all these studies that show that, well, you make more money if you have a college degree, I mean, they're all biased because the people who get college degrees are the same people that would make more money even if they didn't have them, because all the brighter, harder working, more ambitious people go to college. And so obviously they make more money than the people who don't go to college. But you know, I bet if they did a study and they took people with similar backgrounds, similar GDPs, similar SAT scores, all that, and then the ones that go to college and the ones that don't go, I bet the ones that skip it make better than the ones that go.
Yeah, nobody wants to pay for a study like that, though.
Right. The universities wouldn't want it.
No.
But, you know, look, I mean, Vanderbilt never went to college. I don't even think he went to high school. And he had a net worth that I think 3 times Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. How do you make all that money without going to college?
You know, and the same thing is true of medical care, isn't it? I mean, the vast subsidization of medical care hasn't helped the patient at all. In fact, it's made the patient worse off. The government's better off. The pharmaceutical companies are better off. The doctors are better off. The hospitals are better off. The patient, however, is not better off.
Well, whenever the government gets involved, it's the consumer of the product that gets hurt. I mean, government gets involved to stifle competition, to protect those that are helping to elect them from competition from others who can't afford to pay the freight. You know, they erect barriers of entry in every industry. Mine, in particular, I know firsthand, but there are a lot of others. The brokerage industry, they have all sorts of rules and regulations under the pretense of protecting the consumer, but all they do is protect the major firms from competition from smaller firms. The consumer needs no government protection. The consumer has the free market. That's the best protection the consumer is going to get because businesses want their business and businesses value their reputation because it's your brand and your reputation that allows you to thrive. And so the free market protects consumers. The government protects big companies from competition from smaller ones. And what it does is it drives down the standard of living, drives up the cost of living. I mean, anything the government gets involved in, it ruins.
Peter, you've helped us understand about, obviously, some of the economic problems we're facing, about the horrendous results of government intervention in so many different areas. But I noticed that your forthcoming book, The Real Crash, America's Coming Bankruptcy, also has as a subtitle, How to Save Yourself and Your Country. So here's middle-class people listening to you. What do they do? We're facing this horrendous situation that the government has created for us.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, they can vote for Ron Paul. But as far as what, practical action that they can take, that they can certainly try to educate other people, using the internet, using forums, calling into radio talk shows, are really trying to spread the word about the crash that's coming and why it's coming. And because when it happens, the powers that be will again try to pretend that nobody could have possibly predicted this. Oh my God, this is totally out of left field. Nobody could have seen this coming, when in fact, it's very obvious that it's coming. And we just have to explain to people that it's not the default of capitalism. It doesn't mean that we have to abandon what's left of capitalism and fully embrace socialism, that it's the lack of capitalism, it's government intervention, it is the failure to let capitalism work that is the problem. And we need to just dismantle all these government programs and repeal these rules and regulations and shrink government and empower the free market. And that's going to be the only path back to prosperity. People can at least try to protect their own wealth by not going down financially with the ship. Don't own dollars, don't own government bonds or any bonds denominated in U.S. dollars, own gold and silver, own foreign stocks, particularly in a lot of the countries that are going to benefit as the world no longer props up the U.S. economy and the U.S. consumer. Think about all the resources that will be freed up. Think about how the lives of the rest of the world will vastly improve when they can consume the fruits of their labor, as opposed to allowing us to consume them and just stack piles of our bonds in their central banks. So there's a lot of ways to understand how the global economy is going to change, how relative consumption patterns and wealth is going to change, and how to position yourself to benefit from that wave instead of, drowning beneath it.
Well, Peter Schiff, thanks so much for all you do, and we're all going to look forward to your new book, The Real Crash.
And don't forget about my radio show, the Peter Schiff Show.
Oh.
I do it 2 hours a day. I think you've been a guest on the show.
I have been a guest, yes.
Yeah, 2 hours a day from 10 a.m. to noon. It's a call-in show. You can listen live at schiffradio.com. And if you can't make it live, you can listen to the delayed broadcast anytime you have the spare time at schiffradio.com.
Peter will link to all your books and to your radio show, to your Facebook page, your archives on LRC when we publish this. And it's great to have you on the show, and thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity to come on, Luke. Good luck.
Bye-bye.